Okay, so I wanted to just cover something regarding um, queues. So queues are a data structure that is very common among all programming languages. I want you to think, for example, when you're taking a public transport and you go to the bus station, you're going to get there and there's a queue, and whoever arrived at the bus station is the one that's going to get on the bus first, whereas the person that um, arrived at the bus station later will receive will get on the bus later. Now, queues, they follow a FIFO approach, which is first in first out approach in the prioritizing execution of requests or commands or instructions. So the common, you can see the same thing also applies when you go to a store and then you want to pay for whatever that you were shopping. Whoever arrived at the till first is going to receive assistance from the cashier. Now, the operations that you are very common when it comes to the queues is the queue, which is basically removing or the processing of the item which is in the front of the list, and then in queue adding the items at the back of the list, and then length when we check the length of the queue. The operation, the performance when we do an queue, because we're adding at the back of the queue, we basically have a performance of O1, and then when we check the length it's O1. But when we do remove or when we do pop items at the first at the front of the list, the time complexity of that is ON. Reason why, it depends on how big your array is. Remember that when you remove the first item, we have to then shift everything else and reassign it with new locations, since the first one has been removed. So an example of how this works, if you look here, I have a class that I've defined. It's called queue, and within this class, my constructor function basically establishes an empty array, and now I have a function which then checks to see if it's empty or it's there's items. So we then check to see if the container is we check the length of the container. We have this function here, .add, which then appends, and append is a function in Python that adds at the it adds at the back of the queue or at the back of an array. And then for removing here, you will see that now we're checking to see first if the container is not empty. If it's not empty, then we remove the first item, and then if it's empty, we then tell you that it's empty here. So let's here's a problem that you're going to have to go through, and make sure that you don't look at through the example that I have set up here for you. So what am I doing here? I'm basically calling the queue, and I create an instance of the class queue, and then I have a for loop here that adds numbers from 0 to 100, skipping by 5. So it's going to add 0, 5, 10, 15 up to 100. Now after I've done that, I check to see the container size. I also have a function here that let's check to see how big is the the array, and then let's see if we can run this for now. So we have basically 0 up to 95, and then this print is, where is my print? This print, no, the container size, this one. This print is telling me now that there is 20 items within this array. Now this one is printing also sorry, this is the one that is printing line 30. Now here's what we're going to do. Let's call, let's say, new list dot contain, no container, no, let's say remove item, like that. Then we will print new list dot container. Now let's see. You see that now it has removed 0. 0 has been dequeued from the front of the list. So everything has now shifted and reassigned with new indexes. So that's as you can see, we have covered the queue and queue and the length of an array. So this is how queues work: first come, first serve. You can see this is a very, very interesting data structure, in the sense that whatever that arrives first, is the one that gets the preference, that preferential attention. So here's the problem for you to go through and try to see if you can implement this class by yourself, and then and give it a try. I'm going to leave this the link to this in my description. Cheers.